All right, we're ready and going. Cool. Okay, so we're gonna hop into this thing, man. Anton Thomas here with High Value Agent. I'm joined here with my business partner, Scott Fultz. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing well. How are you, man?
Doing good, doing good. So you obviously know what we're going to talk about today. We are going to break down how you can sell one home per week in 2023. Okay. Now, the reason why this is important, and we believe that we are validated to discuss stuff like this, is because my business partner, Scott Fultz, actually achieved that last year. He was able to help at least one family per week buy or sell real estate. So, Scott, let me get things started in this way. And by the way, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comment section or the Q&A. I'm sorry, in the comment section, the Q&A, and we'll pull them up and we'll answer them as we go through. Okay. Especially, I know Scott has a lot of knowledge to get to you guys. Scott, I want you to real quick, to get this started the right way, share with them how long you've been in real estate and what you have noticed in 2022 that kind of like got you and to propelled you to do that much business. Okay. We'll start with that.
Yeah. I did get into the business. I got my license September 11th of 2019. So I've just been in it a little over 3 years now with the team and in the business. So one thing I noticed, well, I mean, besides everyone talking about how difficult the market was, and then COVID hit, and then this and that hit, and everyone was kind of doom and gloom. I just kept doing the work. I kept talking to people, and I started to see that momentum where people that I had spoken with a year ago, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, were coming around. So I was able to help people who were in various phases. You know, I was getting them started from day one, but then it was just the nurturing and everything, and people started coming around, and then it was very consistent.
Yeah, that's the compounding effect in business. Real estate is a compounding business. So like he mentioned, people that he spoke with maybe on day one who wasn't ready to do anything on day one, they were ready to do something on day 465, right? And he continued to nurture that relationship. So we're going to break that down even further. We have a lot to share with you. We're going to try to jam pack all of this into 1 hour. Okay. So before we get going, I wanted you guys to kind of get an idea of who Scott is, if you don't already know who this gentleman is. But I want to ask you guys a question. What would happen in your personal life? The one thing that would like make your heart sing, like what would happen in your personal life if you were able to sell one home per week? How could that impact your personal life? Okay. Think about that, because we're going to use that as a way to propel you in 2023 when times get tough. Scott, have you ever formulated a business plan and things didn't go according to plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And at those times it probably got tough, right?
Yeah.
How do you pull through when you experience turbulence on your journey? Okay. That what is what we got to make sure that we connect to that what. Okay. So take a moment. Again, I want you to write that down. What is the one thing, or what could selling one home per week, how could that impact you? What could that do for your personal life, your family, your friends, the people that you care about? How could that impact them as well? Okay. Okay. Another thing too, I got my notes in front of me. A lot of us, when we talk about our what, we want to make it like this big, hairy, audacious goal, this big whatever it is, right? I want you to think a little smaller. Now, I don't normally say that, but let me provide context. The what for 2023, like how would this impact you personally? It needs to be something that could be attained this year. So a little smaller. Maybe it's a vacation, a trip, maybe it's paying off some debt, maybe it's paying off all your debt, maybe it's putting some money towards your child's college tuition, maybe it's buying your first home. But I want us to really focus on what is attainable this year, okay? While we do that. All right, so let's talk about the first thing that you need to make sure that you do, okay? Number one, if you want to sell one home per week, you have to have a plan.
Yeah.
You have to have a plan. Scott, when do we typically do our business planning for the following year? Like, which month do we normally do that?
Well, the first year when I joined the team in September, we did it in October that year, but we've kind of moved it up a little bit, but that's really when we have a plan in place by October.
Now, why do we do that?
Because if you try to start something at the beginning of the year, or even just start thinking about it, it's going to take you a couple months to get rolling with that and to get into the routines and all of that. So we get the ball rolling. The beginning of our year starts the end of the year previous. So
yes,
we're that way we hit the ground running.
So the timing of when you formulate your business plan is very important. So when Scott had an amazing 2022, by the way, would you sell maybe like 10 times what the average agent does? Pretty much,
Yes, yeah.
Right? So if you think about it that way, he started on his 2022 business plan in October of 2021. Okay, so you got to keep that in mind. Now let's break down like the business plan, because I think a lot of people, they believe they need to have a 30-pager. You don't need to have a 30-pager. Scott, how many pages is your business plan?
I mean,
let me, because we now I'm a very I like to overdo stuff sometimes. So the business plan that we have, it could be multiple pages, but it's breaking down our what.
Yeah.
It's breaking down how could it impact our personal life, blah, blah, blah. But let's talk about the sheet where it tells you your leading measures, like what you need to do. How many pages?
It's one page. Yeah.
It's one page, okay? So you have to have a business plan. Another thing that you got to make sure you do, and it doesn't have to be complex, by the way. So a one pager will do. Another thing is you got to determine what your perfect day is. Mm-hmm. What is your perfect day? From the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, in an ideal world where you know you're going to be productive, what does that day look like for you? Scott has what his perfect day looks like. And Scott, we talked about this earlier. How many times, and by the way, we're going to be open and honest and vulnerable. Okay, that's just how we do it here. So Scott's going to tell you the truth. How many times do we execute a perfect day? How often? Let's say a percentage.
A percent. I mean, I wish it were up to 10. I don't know that a perfect day happens 10% of the time. I would be surprised.
Now, okay, I want to build optimism for you who's watching, because I think people think they have to be perfect 100% of the time to be able to do the production you did last year.
Right.
No, how about you have 10% of your days this year, only 10% you execute at a high level.
Yeah.
Because most agents don't even execute 1%.
And it averages out, like if your perfect day is, I want to set a consultation, I want to have a consultation, I want to close a house. Mm-hmm. Like if you don't set any consultations today, you don't meet it with anyone today, but you set 3 tomorrow, it works out. Yep. It all averages out. So
absolutely. And then you'll even have days where you are 100% intentional to have a great day, but then maybe you're not feeling well. Maybe somebody in your family needs your help and they need for you to pick them up. So now it's taking kind of some of your day away, right? Things happen, right? Things happen. So if you could just execute 10% better than you did last year, you're gonna be in a better position to do this. Another thing too is when you have your business plan and you're trying to execute, right? And you're taking it one day at a time, you got to make sure that you're measuring what you're doing every day. Okay, what you measure improves. What you don't measure never improve, or it can't improve, right? Because you don't even know what to do to improve it. You don't even know if it's improving or not. Okay, so you got to make sure you're measuring what you're doing. And then here's a question for you as well. How do you go about executing your business plan? How do you go about executing your business plan? And then another thing is, how many days in a row can you not execute on your business plan until it actually affects your 2023 commitment? Because again, there is a such thing as like having momentum, where maybe you have days, maybe 2-3 days in a row where you're not executing on your plan, but it doesn't really negatively affect your business. So how many days in a row can you go not executing on your plan until it negatively affects your business? So these are questions I want you to ask yourself. That way you're getting clear on that. So you got to have a plan. You got to have an idea of what your ideal schedule, your ideal day looks like. Scott has that. and that's what he executes on every day. And at the end of the day, he's gonna say either it's a win or a loss, but depending on him knocking out the most, I guess you could say the highest priority things of the day. Would you agree with that?
For sure.
Yep, so you gotta have a plan. Scott had a plan for 2022 for him to execute and help that many families. So that's number one. Number two, it's time to go to work. Now, don't leave. Because I know sometimes that 4-letter word, WORK, sometimes it can have some people get a little nervous, itchy and stuff, start sweating. Listen, Scott, you put that work in last year. You was working. You got to understand work works. If you want to do something exceptional, extraordinary, you have to put in the action, in the work. You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes if you're doing things right, like I found that I had to work less in 2020, and it sounds weird, like I don't even like to say it, but because of the work that I did the year before, that carried a lot through, and the momentum just, it was a snowball rolling downhill. But yeah, you got to show up, you show up from the neck up, or what?
Check up from the neck up, right?
So you got to be in the right mental space.
100%.
Your mindset is going to control your actions most of the time.
Yeah.
You do the actions and good things happen.
Yep.
Whether you see the results immediately or not, just do the right thing in and out.
Do the next right thing right.
Yeah.
Right. So Scott, I want to provide more context because I want to make sure that we unpack everything he says. I know Scott's business. Okay. Scott in 2022, effort-wise, energy-wise, may not have been as much as 2021. Let me explain what he means by that. Scott was heavy listing based in 2022 versus buyer based. Now he helped both, but he wasn't doing as many showings in 2022 that he was in 2021, right? Which means he had more control over his schedule.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Now, does that mean that there was less effort on his part? No, he's committed 100% to providing the best service possible to our clients. But the reality is he set up his business in a way that allowed him to get more time back while also helping more people by being heavy in the listing space. So I just want to provide that context, okay? At the end of the day, though, you got to put the work in. The plan that Scott has, that we're going to share with you, by the way, we're going to share with you a playbook. The playbook that if you follow it, I almost guarantee that you will help 52 families in 2023, okay? So make sure you stay till the end because we're going to share that playbook with you. Now, the business plan itself will not work. People will take 5 days to create this immaculate business plan, but then they don't work it. Right. For you to succeed, you got to make sure that you're taking action on the information that you're learning, on the content that you're hearing. Like, for example, today, everything that Scott and I are going to share with you, if you're not taking action on it, it's all for naught. It's not going to do anything for you. Okay. Another thing too is there's a difference between action and inspired action. Okay. There is a difference between the two. What is action? Action is just you showing up and you see your business plan and you're trying to execute on it, but you're like this. Oh, well, I got to make my calls today. Oh, man, I got to call my past clients and don't really feel like calling them. Oh, man, here's John Doe. Oh, man, I didn't like that transaction. I don't want to call them. They probably don't even like me. Oh, but well, Scott told me I got to make phone calls or I got to follow my business plan. I guess I'll do it. That's just taking action. Now, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
With that mentality and just taking action, do you think that's going to be somebody being consistent, or are they going to be inconsistent?
It'll be very inconsistent. And I could tell you the difference between action and inspired action is I could speak with the same people, the same exact people on an action day or an inspired action day.
There we go.
And have such different results, because if I just say I need to call these 40 people today and I call those 40 people, my conversations are probably not going to be great. I'm just going through the motions. But if before every call, I think how how can I help this person? And I look through my notes. I see they were working on credit. I see they were, and I can, hey, listen, and I can have that detailed conversation with them and put myself in their position. Like, it's gonna be
That's so good.
so much better.
That's so good, Scott. Like, please, you got to pay attention to the words. There's a difference between, like, in other words, action is kind of being selfish.
Yeah, I'm doing this because I have to do it,
Because
or
I have to do
yeah,
it,
because
right.
it's on my list, or
Scott
yeah.
told me to do it. Well, I don't want to be like Scott.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and try. And then they make 5 calls and then they're mad. Or maybe 5 people, they call 5 people, they don't pick up. Oh, this is stupid.
Yeah.
That's just taking action. Inspired action, he just said, is you really just taking ownership and committing to it being your duty, right? That you are going to provide the best service possible. You're going to be the resource for the people that trusted you, right? That's in my opinion, that's more selfless, right?
Yeah.
So do you find yourself in 2022, were you taking a lot of inspired action?
Yeah, and there's clearly a correlation between doing that and feeling like I don't have to work so hard, because maybe the year before I had to make 60 calls a day.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't effective, I wasn't inspired in my actions. But then the next year I'm actually focused, and I'm, laser focused on what these people need to accomplish and their position in life and how I can help them. I don't need to talk to nearly as many people to have better results. So
yeah, and you're making connections with people.
Absolutely.
Deep connections with people. So not just trying to have conversations, you're making connections. So there is a difference between the two. If you don't get this down, what this part, you need to rewind this multiple times, because it's so easy for us to just kind of go through the motions. You've got to have the inspiration to be the best out here, to be the resource, to connect with people, really have an emotional connection with people. We're in a relationship business.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Scott built up a lot of relationships with people that will forever look at Scott as a resource. You got to look in your database. Do you have that type of connection with the people in your database, with your past clients? Right? If you don't, then that's something that you got to definitely do, is make sure you're taking inspired action. Now, the concentration phase is what we're currently talking about. Here's the reality: 90% of the agents never make it out of this phase. If you want to sell 1 home per week, you got to, for 90 days, you have to put in consistent, massive, inspired action. Most agents fall out of this and they go back to formulation phase. Have you seen that happen?
Oh,
it's
sure.
By the way, it's happened to agents in our own organization, just being transparent. And there's agents that we know all across the country that experiences as well, right? Scott, why do you see 90%? Why, when I say 90% of agents never make it out of this phase, what do you think is causing that?
Lack of focus, maybe. Resources. There's so many things that
accountability.
We have everything. Yeah, absolutely. Like, if I'm telling you, like, and I say this 1,000 times, the first couple of weeks I had my license, I wanted to carry around my briefcase with my laptop in it and wear the right realtor outfit and look like, but man, I wouldn't have sold a house. I wouldn't have had a consultation if I didn't connect with this team, with this man here.
Right.
And the resource, like, yeah, and you can't just be a great salesperson necessarily. That's not enough. I mean,
it's not enough. But
so
Scott, I gotta ask you real quick, what's the realtor outfit though? Like, what's the realtor outfit? So I wonder if we can like Google a realtor outfit. It'd probably be some shorts and a t-shirt. But no, I mean, 100% accountability, maybe focus of like, what do I focus on today?
Yeah.
Listen, we struggle with that sometimes in our organization. We don't, like, what do we focus on today? Yesterday, I could tell you, and Scott can elaborate on this. We had done something as a team and the energy was bananas. What did we do yesterday, Scotty?
We came in with a focus, a singular, like, for these next 3 hours, this is these are the people we're reaching out to. This is the conversation we're having. This is our goal. Yes. And so it wasn't like, I just need to make a bunch of calls and talk to a bunch of people. It was, this is the list. And they're all in the same or very similar position. And how are you going to help them? And yeah, we had deep conversations.
Detailed action steps.
Yeah.
We had a voicemail script. We knew exactly what we were going to text to people because we knew the people he mentioned already, the people that we were talking to they were all people that we've already built a relationship with, right? So we knew that these people, there was really the only thing they needed to know, or that we needed to know from them, is where are they currently at in their journey from the last time we spoke. So we're just continuing to, and it was a lot of video text messages, a lot of things that we did to continue to nurture those relationships. But the focus part and the energy really makes a difference. We were high-fiving each other and everything, it goes a long way. So that's key. Scott, I want to talk about, because 52 weeks, right, in a year, it's a long time, man. And to help one family a week, that's a lot of energy. No matter what, that's a lot of people, because if you're unaware, anybody who's on this webinar who's an agent understands, we are problem solvers, right? We are like almost firefighters. We're always putting out fires, in the business and in the transaction. So I want to ask you, like, what did you do to keep your head in the game in 2022?
Right. Shout out to real firefighters. We don't have the risk involved.
Yeah.
Metaphor. We put out the metaphoric.
Yes. We're like transaction firefighters, putting out fires, not actual. Yeah. Respect to our firefighters. We appreciate your service.
To keep my focus, throughout the whole time. I mean, I firmly believe it takes a village, and it wasn't just me. It was I had very specific goals of, this is how many people I need to talk to in a day, in a week, in a month. This is how many consultations I want to set with people. This is how many families I want to get in the door, knowing that some of them are going to need credit work. Some of them are going to come back to me next year. I'm going to reach out to them a lot between now and then, but that's when they're going to be ready. That's my job. But I also knew that I had support in the office next to us with Angela and with Amanda and with Antoine with his lessons and teaching. And so I know that I don't have to focus on everything. Like this is what I stay in my lane. Like that phrase is overused, but that's what I do. I stay in my lane, and everything works best when I do that. If I can get someone under contract and then Angela takes over, who's next? Who wants to, and so just the revolving door, and I don't have to focus on everything. I don't have to put out every fire. That helps a lot. That takes a lot of stress off. I would not do well as an individual agent. I admit that. Like, that's my weakness. I love the support. I love the guidance, the accountability. That's what keeps pushing me forward. So
absolutely.
I don't feel like I have to do everything.
Yeah. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is it's okay to trust others as you're going through your journey that maybe are even better than you in certain aspects of the real estate business, and really relying on them. And actually, the art of delegation is a skill, by the way. Okay, so if you're able to not be a control freak, raise your hand if you're a control freak. I will admit I am. But at some point, you do have to have business maturity and learn to just give it away and trust others.
Yeah.
Right. Scott, in regards to you unplugging from the business though, like what were some of your strategies to kind of get you back replenished mentally, to come back stronger? I know you're going on a big trip here soon, right? And I'm sure, being able to plan trips, and that's kind of like the light at the end of the tunnel in a way, right? For a lot of us. But what did you do to kind of unplug, and so you can come back stronger throughout the year?
I just talked with my wife Jen about this like last night or 2 nights ago, how important it is to get something fun on the calendar, just sporadically. And it doesn't have to be a trip to St. Thomas or Florida or whatever, but my guilty pleasure is a Cubs game, a Pacers game, things like that. So the other day I got online and got tickets to a Cubs Cardinals game. I've never seen the Cubs and Cardinals play. What a great rivalry. But just to get that on the calendar for the summer. We have a family vacation in July. We've got my wife and I are taking our 10th anniversary trip because the team supported me. I supported the team. And so we're going to the Virgin Islands. I've never been like that, anywhere like that. So just to get those kinds of things on the calendar. We'll have a big fun summer. And then I'm sure in the fall, okay, let's go to a football game. It's just those sporadic fun things on the calendar that I know I'd look forward to. I work hard to get to them so that I can enjoy that and be in the moment,
Yeah.
then get back in the office and do it
Yeah.
again.
And you planned it in a way, it was kind of a part of your business plan, right? Because you made plans, like, for example, you just mentioned already a couple of summer trips you're taking in the summer. I remember last year you went to a few Cubs games, and like it felt like at one point every other weekend you were somewhere. You have to do that if you're gonna be wanting to succeed at a high level. Now, I personally don't really believe in work-life balance. I think it's just one life, right? And it's integration. It's a work-life integration, right? And so it's important to understand that whatever works for you, you got to have those little celebrations here and there. A celebration could be a nice dinner. It could be going on a weekend trip. We had another business partner in our office who recently went, I think India or Chicago for a weekend and stayed in a nice hotel just to unplug for a little bit.
Mhm.
And she came back and she's feeling good and and she's been killing it, right? So it's important to make sure you're putting that in your calendar. Otherwise, you could potentially burn out. Now, when you do get to the point of burnout, I highly recommend, and I learned this from a book called Relentless by Tim Grover. I've also learned this from another book called Winning by Tim Grover as well. They talk about this is you got to remember again what we talked about in the beginning of this webinar. Not your why, but your what. What is that thing that you're working hard for that's going to make your heart sing? And you got to remind yourself of what that is every day.
Mhm.
And then it makes it a lot easier to get up out of bed when your body's hurting, your mind's hurting, to continue to strive for greatness. Okay. Let's talk about mastering repetitious boredom. All right. So, because we're still in the concentration phase. I want to make sure we're going on time too, but we're still in concentration phase. Mastering repetitious boredom. We call that here in the office. We talk about it often because for us, the boring part is making the phone calls, is making the connections, it's following a schedule. None of that is sexy. Okay. However, it has to be done. All right. Think of it this way. If you're going to be helping 52 families a week,
A year.
I'm sorry.
I'm not that good.
Good catch. A year, 52, one family a week, 52 a year, then there has to be time blocks in your day where you're building relationships with those people, okay? And you're having, in a way, the same conversations over and over and over again, right? And it can get boring. Whenever you have those moments, because I challenge you, me and Scott, we want to challenge you to time block at least 1 to 3 hours of your day of actually making new connections with people and nurturing relationships. When you get to the moment where you're bored and you're like, oh man, does Scott really do this all the time? Because this is boring. When you get that weakness, I want you to think of Steph Curry. I want you to think of LeBron James. I want you to think of Tom Brady. I know, yeah, I had to say that because he's a Colts guy. But Tom Brady, think of all the greats, right? How did they become great? How did they become great? Do you think that they wake up and Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time, or LeBron James is the #1 scorer of all time just from waking up? No, they're in the gym for hours and hours, sometimes 2-3 sessions a day of working on their craft, okay? That is boring. A lot of times they're in there with just them and a ball, okay? But you have to understand your craft, if you want to get paid like a pro athlete or be a legend like them, is you doing the boring stuff consistently, okay? I just wanted to break that down because a lot of people don't understand that. Scott does that every day. We do that every day. It's a part of being successful in real estate. We got to master that. You have anything to add to
Yeah,
that?
I mean, the phrase that we use all the time when someone comes in here to like ask questions, what it takes and all this, we always say it's not easy. It is simple. Like those times that I try to make it complicated and well, if I just do this thing a little differently, or, I'm creative, I've got a music degree, like I try to just be very creative and it just doesn't work. And there's such a simple process and simple scripts and simple do this for these many hours a day. And it's so simple. And yeah.
It's so simple, it's boring, right? Okay, write this down. I want everybody to write this down. A simple business builds a sexy life. Okay, doing the simple, ordinary, boring activities helps you live a sexy, exciting life. So I gave you two different ways to write it down, but that's just the reality of the life that we're in, and really not just in our industry, but again, this is a blanket statement to anything that you want to be great in. You got to master the boring stuff, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so we're going to move on. Let's talk about momentum phase. So we touched on the formulation phase, which is you generating a business plan. Okay, when you should do it. When should they normally do it? What would you say?
Early.
Early, maybe October,
Yeah,
November
October
of the previous year. So that way you have time to build the habits that you need by January 1. The business plan only needs to be a one-sheeter. You don't have to make it all complicated, okay? And then you got to take the action. That's the concentration phase. That's where it's going to be 90 days of consistent, massive, inspired action. All right, so making sure you are doing the checkup from the neck up, like Scott mentioned, and you're showing up with the right mentality and you're putting the work in. And then during that 90-day phase of concentration, you got to also learn to enjoy your life. You got to learn to unplug a little bit. We call it active renewal. Okay, you got to find something that fills your cup during that process. And then now we're going to talk about, and then mastering repetition is important, right? Okay, we talked about that. Now we're going to talk about momentum. Scott experienced a lot of momentum, so I'm gonna have him break this down. Like, what did that feel like? He's already kind of touched on it, right? I'm gonna have him touch on it a little bit more about what the momentum phase is, what it felt like for him, and kind of that wave he was on for him to help over 52 families.
Sure. I can say, like, right before you hit momentum phase, I felt if you say it's 90 days in the concentration phase, doing the silly, boring things, I'm telling you, 88 days, 89 days, I was like, when it, like, you keep saying this is coming, and I just was getting frustrated. And then I'm telling you, it felt like day 90. Like, I opened my inbox, like, I go to bed and I wake up and 3 people overnight have said, hey, I want to find a house, I want to find land. Like, so it does. And then the momentum kicks in, and it's the people you've been reaching out to for 3 months. Now they're finally, okay, I think this is, I do want to do this, and you've helped me come to this conclusion. And then you get those people in, but you will have new people reaching. Like, I'll make a call, and now I'm more confident because I've had this many conversations for 3 months.
Yeah.
And so it's easier now too. So I have people that I've been nurturing for 3 months, and it's just a cycle. And you almost feel like there were times I'd come in here and be like, I'm not doing anything fancy. Like, why people are beating down my door now all of a sudden? And it was a weird feeling. But you have this abundance, feeling. So you don't get emotional during transactions at that phase. A lot of deals will fall apart because emotions get involved with the buyers, with the sellers, with the other agent. And if you can be the solid force in that and not allow the emotions to get involved, you hold more deals together. So now they're closing. And that's purely just because you can take just a logical approach, because I'm not freaking out. I've got 10 pending right now. Like, if this one falls apart, whatever. But then by then you have the skills to be able to deal with it. And so you get the emotion, like, God, I hope this works. I hope this goes. Like, when that's not around, the consistency is just, it is so freeing.
It is. Like, so again, Scott said a lot there. And by the way, he's very, very humble. Like, he says sometimes, well, I didn't really do much. Like, you don't fall into success not doing anything. So I want to make that clear. What Scott is saying is that it's simple. Okay. He just followed the process, and he had faith, and he continued to take the necessary steps to win. All right, let's unpack that a little bit though, because he said a lot. And some of the stuff, that's a whole nother webinar. So we won't dive too deep on some of the stuff, but the point where you have the abundance mindset, I'm telling you right now, if you don't have the abundance mindset, serving 52 plus families in a year is going to be very hard. Because what is the opposite of abundance?
Just lack, just
The lack of scarcity,
Yeah.
right? You're holding on harder to a transaction than the actual client is. And then the client feels a certain way about you.
Yeah, for sure.
What are we doing all this for? To serve families, right? And a part of the reason why he's been able to help so many people is because he's done such a good job serving the people that are in front of him. They also referred people to him to serve as well, friends, family, and so on and so forth. What makes him a great agent and makes him be able to help so many families is the fact that he operates out of contribution and abundance, which is why he's on this webinar with me. Okay. Your clients feel that, and they want to be around that, and they want to send people that they care about to that. So if you are able to get 10 to 20 of the 52, 10 to 20 of them are given to you, I mean, how would that impact your business? How would that make it easier for you to help the 52 families? Sky had a lot of that last year, but because he was operating out of abundance, and he built up a pipeline to where he could be detached, and it made him a better agent. Yeah, 100%. Cool. I want to also talk about, and we'll break this down together. I know you can't, so I got my notes. He don't have notes. Okay, these are my notes. But I want to share with you guys, and Scott's going to elaborate on some of the stuff. So he don't have these notes, so this ain't scripted. He's going to share his stuff. 8 skills that can help you, okay? Because we talked about momentum phase. Momentum phase now is you're getting more business with less effort, right? But what are 8 skills that can actually help you in 2023, again, to continue to close that gap to helping 52 families, over 52 this year? Number 1, the skill of taking the time to break bad habits. The skill of taking the time to break bad habits. Now, what could that be? That could be maybe reading a book about, something about mindset. It could be reading a book about skill building in regards to sales. Okay. It could be role playing and trying to improve your good habits in conversations. What's another thing? Maybe it could be learning more about your overall business. Okay. Maybe learning data, learning how to have more educated conversations with clients. Okay. But you got to take the time to break your bad habits and build new ones. Okay. Number 2, skill of managing your fears of the unknown. A lot of us are afraid because we've never done this before. Scott, he had to take the step of being uncomfortable and not really knowing what was going to happen, but having the faith and taking the action. And that got him to helping so many families, right? Scott, let's talk about that real quick. I want to break that down. What has been your approach to overcome those fears of the unknown?
Part of it is I know that every time I do what I'm supposed to do, especially after putting it off, is that it goes well. And I have that stress off of me of sitting on it. So I just know, like, the sooner I do this, it's going to be fine. And I'm not saying that I don't ever have that feel like where I don't sit and dwell on a horrible inspection where I'm trying to worry about, but I know, and I've learned through experience that just dealing with it sooner rather than later, you'll get that stress off your back.
Good.
You will have usually a better conversation with them.
That's good.
But yeah, just those things, the waiting time is not going to help you by waiting to do something.
100%. Like there's a book by Mel Robbins, 5-second rule, I believe is the name of the book. That's a great book. When it talks about doing something that's uncomfortable, or maybe doing something that you need to do, but you don't want to, you just count down from 5. And when you get to 1, you just do it. You just don't even just do it. Like, that's your 5-second rule. I've used that plenty of times in my life with anything. And again, when you're stepping into this unknown territory of helping so many families, you don't know what to expect, right? So if everyone on this call, if you're wanting to do more, you're going to be feeling this throughout the year. So I highly recommend doing what Scott said and just doing it, right? Just get it over with, okay?
Another book about that is Eat That Frog. Right?
Eat That Frog is a good one. Yeah, there's another good book that we read a lot of books together. And there was one that you just read, we read over the past couple months. the 4 agreements.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one too.
Mhm.
That kind of, in my opinion, the 4 agreements. So we're gonna actually have book recommendations on the playbook to 52 closings. And that book is not on there, but we recommend that one. That's a great one. The 4 agreements, I can't remember the author though, but remember?
No.
I don't remember them, but just Google it, you'll find it. Okay, so the next skill, this is number 3, skill of not being concerned about what others will say as you change your behavior. That's a good one. Scott, you want to talk about that with me? Not being concerned about what others will say as you change your behaviors. Oh, you didn't change, Scott.
Right.
You different, right?
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
I mean, well, one of the 4 agreements is don't take anything personally. But people are uncomfortable with change. And so I know if I'm eating something better, if I'm trying to do something better like that, people are going to say things like, well, why are you doing that? Or just don't, like, I'm just doing it because I want to be better. And I think sometimes I've struggled with this. I don't know if it's a fear, but I almost feel guilty for doing well or doing better than what I was doing before, because now people are going to notice and they're going to think this or that. And I think that's a big thing. And yeah, people will call you out, like, why are you doing that? And
that's huge, man.
It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It's just sometimes people don't want to be pushed, like
Makes them uncomfortable.
We all know how it feels when you're sitting at a restaurant and you get the macaroni and cheese, 4 cheese macaroni and cheese with whatever. That's my favorite. And then the person next to you goes, well, I'm just going to have the salmon, and please hold this on the side, and I'm going to have the salad. And then you start feeling like, oh, like, that's them. That's what they're doing. You do what you do if it's working for you. So people are always going to ask questions when they see a change in you. And
they're either going to be inspired or they're going to be uncomfortable. Okay. Now, we're not telling you to ghost everyone. But this is going to happen. You handle it whichever way you see fit. When this happened to me, I took the approach of the people who were my cheerleaders or people that really supported me, right? They wanted to see me do well. I moved them closer to my life. Those are people that you want to be around. You want to be around that positive energy. You want cheerleaders in your life, okay? The people that didn't really cheer, then they're still, maybe they're even family. I still love them, but they're now an acquaintance, or there's not a everyday conversation with them now. They're a little more distant, and I put them in that box, right? These are things as you're growing. If you're wanting to do more business, you're going to earn more money, you're going to help more families, you're going to become just bigger in the community. This is going to be something that you need to expect and be prepared for.
Yeah, people for some reason take like they get offended by success, and that's why some people may not like Tom Brady or LeBron James so much, because succeeding and blah blah blah, and it's not, why can't I do that? And it's just, they worked hard, they did the right thing over and over and over again.
Facts.
And so why can't everyone be respectful of LeBron James breaking all kinds of, but this is different, and like, who cares?
Right.
Like, he scored a lot of points.
Right? And success is unlimited. It's not like it's finite. Like there's only 1% left in the world of success, and no, everyone can win, right? So again, this is a part of mindset. Just be prepared for this, okay? Because we've all felt this.
If you want to see the haters come out of the woodwork, kick ass, excel at something.
Yeah,
that's when you've made it. When people start like, kind of look at you. So,
and if you don't have haters, Grant Cardone says, then you ain't doing enough. You need haters. If you got 5, get 10. If you got 10, get 20 quickly. Okay. So it's just the reality. Okay. All right. Number 4, skill of developing blind faith. All of us, again, that kind of goes into the unknown. You don't know what you're doing. This is new habits you're building. You don't know what to expect. You probably have an idea what to expect, but you never know. You gotta have blind faith. You gotta have blind faith, something that we all deal with, okay? The next one is, did you have something to say on that?
I mean, there are tons of teammates, business partners that we have that are living proof of that, that they
100%.
get in the business like they don't know a thing. And they start helping people because we hire people with good hearts and that want to do the right thing and stick to the simple. And then they just kill it for 2 or 3 months.
Mhm.
And they're just, I don't know, like, and so then it's just, I mean, it's foolproof. It's every time. And, yeah, that's just
Blind
clear evidence of that. Yeah.
Blind faith just gotta be, and you gotta be coachable, which is a skill. Humility, is that a skill? No, just like you're this small on this planet, like have humility. Like, even if you're great, Scott he has a lot of humility. Scott is always showing up to trainings, period. He's always showing up for role plays. He even shows up to trainings that are being, the trainer isn't me. It's not like some trainer, it's a teammate who's been in real estate like a year. And he's showing up to those trainings. That's having humility. The best top performers in the world are lifelong learners, period. Okay, so I think we beat that down. Ooh, this is one I struggle with. Number 5, the skill of having patience. I suck at this. I've gotten so much better though, but skill of having patience, man. You gotta have patience. And I want to add that you got to have patience, but you got to work as if you're impatient.
The urgency, right?
What urgency? There you go.
Urgently impatient or urgently patient. You need, I forget how we phrased it.
I forgot too.
Yeah.
But you get what we're saying. You can't come in and think it's going to happen overnight. There is a process, but you have to aggressively take the action every single day. Okay. You got to work as if you want it today. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't go to the gym and then walk out and go find a mirror and be like, dang, look at that.
Exactly
Like,
what it is. Yeah.
and that's a lot of what people believe is like, I ate right. Like I only had 2 cheat meals this week, but I only lost 2 pounds. Like,
yeah.
yeah. So you have to be consistent, patient. The results will come if you keep urgently doing the right thing.
Urgently doing the right, I like that. Urgently doing the right thing. Let's see where we're at on time, because I'm trying to get better at this being okay. We got all right, we're okay. Now, depending on if you guys want more, we can go more into like the tactical stuff. I think a lot of times the tactical stuff is boring to some people. I personally believe that if you want to help 52 families this year, 80% of it is up here. It's this part, okay? The 20% is the tactical stuff. But if you guys want it, based on the demand, and if you guys let me and Scott know, we'll be happy to do a part 2 to this, and we'll break down more tactical and strategy. But we'll keep going because I want to make sure we end this on time. So number 6, skill of controlling your emotions. The skill of controlling your emotions, and you kind of touched on that already. Here's a quote, one of my favorite quotes. I want you guys to write this down. Untamed emotion is the enemy of performance. Untamed emotion is the enemy of performance. If you don't have emotional maturity, if you don't have control over your own emotions, or in other words, over your own mind, then it's going to be very hard for you to serve 52 plus families, right? They're looking to you for guidance, for you to be the lighthouse, not for you to be like freaking out with them. Okay. And it's not just with the client, it's just how you show up every day, period, whether it's with your family or whoever it may be. You just got to make sure you have the emotional maturity needed to perform at a high level. You mentioned Tom Brady and LeBron. Would you say they have emotional maturity?
I mean, yeah, going down the field. They got 20 seconds left, and Brady like just ice in his veins. You know that phrase? Like,
yeah.
Did you ever see them like with their eyes like?
As one was
Like, you'll never see LeBron looking around like.
Right. Sometimes I've seen LeBron do that before years ago. This is when he was earlier in the league, but I'm a LeBron guy. LeBron is my favorite player, but you cannot expect to be the best version of yourself if you don't have your emotions in check. Okay. Keep your emotions in between the lines. There's ways that you can do that: meditation, breath work, reading a book, taking some time, the unplugging that we were talking about, active renewal. There are things you can do to kind of get that in line. All right, moving on. The skill of asking for help. Scott, let's talk about this.
Oh, let's not. I hate asking for help.
That's like you said, no
Squirm. That's when I squirm.
I know. Let's talk about it. I mean, that's a challenge that you have, right?
For sure.
In some, he's not the only one. There's a lot of us that don't like asking for help. But let's talk about that. Why is that important, though?
I mean, because I can't do it all. And I've learned that transactions go better when I allow people that are better at certain tasks to take over. And I'm being selfish to my clients to say, I'm okay. Like I couldn't say this, but this is how I've behaved sometimes. I'm okay if your transaction goes a little bit less quality, because I don't want to have, I hate asking this person to help me out. So you have to get over that. And being able, man, it felt good to get offers accepted while I was on the beach. So you get over that pretty quickly, those kinds of things. I'll jokingly say I've given away more business than I've done myself. I firmly believe that we were talking earlier with someone else about showings, and Lauren's going to be giving an open house training tomorrow. She asked me if I'll be there. I know she expected me to say no. I said, I'll absolutely be there, even though I will gladly pay someone else to do that for me. Like, so I learned pretty quickly I can do a lot more if I let other people do it, and they'll grow faster. Absolutely. The younger agents will grow faster if they're able to do showings for me. I get to spend time with my family at sporting events or whatever. The new agents get to build their skills faster. It's a win-win. The client doesn't have to wait until I come back from vacation to see a house. So that makes it a no-brainer, but I don't like asking. And it's not even always that I feel like I can do it better. I don't like putting people out. I don't want this person to have to get up early to come get me, pick me up, or I don't want to ask this person to sacrifice something of their time or day with their family. Like, they've got kids. I don't want to, I'll do it. I can do it.
Be a burden.
Yeah. I hate that. And so, that's what has always gotten in my way. But with the people in our office, Angela, I'll say her name again, Angela, our transaction coordinator, when I hand her something and I just get out of the way, and it works. It works better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got to ask for help. You can't do it. What is the saying? You can go, you go further together. You can go so far alone, but you go further together. It's a real thing. It works. All right. The last one is skill of accepting the fact that you can win in a big way. So to kind of just tie that all in, keep it simple, create your checklist, work your checklist, and make sure you measure your checklist. And before I throw it to you, Scott, for to close it out, I want to make it very clear, because I don't think we touched on it enough when we were talking about measuring your results. It is so important that you have some type of business tracker. So we have systems that we use. We won't name them on here. If you have questions about which systems that we're using, reach out to Scott or reach out to myself, and we'll be happy to share what we do on the back end. But it is important that you have a business tracker, because as you're putting the effort, the hours in, you're talking to people, so on and so forth, you got to have a way to measure. And if you're not efficient in certain areas, that you can learn to pivot and improve those areas, and then allows you to get more time back with your family while also serving more people. We right now have some pretty big gaps in our own business that we're working on, right? The only reason why we're able to know that is because we're tracking our numbers.
Statistics Like,
Yeah.
you can always have this feeling like, I feel like this is going pretty well.
Yeah.
But when you see numbers tracking, like, oh, it didn't feel that way to me. Well, numbers don't have feelings. Math doesn't feel, math is.
Math is
So
so key. And I know it's code, but as a business person, you have to track your numbers. If you're not even tracking if you're not budgeting your own personal finances, if you're just spending money or you're not paying attention and tracking, that's how you go broke, right? So
I feel like, a new agent, the first question that you asked me in that October meeting, after being here with this team for 2 weeks, how much money do you want to make? Like, huh? Well, it's really easy when you have statistics that show on our team, this is how many people you have to talk to set this many consultations, to get this many buyers and sellers in the door, to close this many houses, which pays you this much per house. Like, okay, well, I want to make this much. Okay, you need to talk to 36 people a day.
There we go.
You need, like,
And so what he's talking about, because again, we leave with contribution and we want to leave with value, because all we're doing right here is we're giving back to an industry that has given so much to us. Real estate has changed my life. Sure, real estate has changed your life for the better, right? So we're going to give that away for you. So again, stay on, all right? Stay on, because we're going to give you the playbook. What he's talking about, we're going to give you a proven playbook for you to get that same result. All right, Scott, I'm gonna throw it to you, man. Let's bring it home. Is there anything else that maybe you wanted to touch on that we didn't, or something that you just want to reiterate, or what's your closing thoughts on everything?
Man, I can't keep this short probably, but I will. It does, this whole premise of playbook to 52 closings still is weird to me. It does not feel like I did that.
You did over 50.
I said, I did.
He's being
55.
He's being humble. He's done upward. He technically, can I share this?
Yeah.
No. So technically he did around 60 plus, because he gave business away. Right? So he could have been in the mid 60s if he were being a little selfish. So we're talking about just 52. He did more than that. Okay. So again, this is a guy that did even more.
Yeah. 55 in our MLS. I did one of them north. I had a few referrals. They got paid whether they showed up as one of those 55s or whatever. At some point, the 55 doesn't mean so much. It's the money that comes with it that really helps. And I was proud of that. I really am. I'm very humble, but it doesn't feel like that because I'm surrounded by a great team. I have tons of resources. We've simplified everything so much that you don't have to have a complex, fancy plan. Just to know I need to just talk with this many people a day. Like, to be able to, what kind of job do you get to go into and say, this is how much money I want to make this year? Like, and that's what brought me here, honestly. And to be able to say, well, I want to make this much. Here are a bunch of numbers that if you meet these, and because I was getting better at my skills, I didn't even, like, we kept lowering. That felt weird. We kept lowering my goals. My first year, it's like, okay, it's going to take a little more. Now, then it started to come back, and we said, okay, you don't have to talk to this many.
Yeah.
And I raised my goal twice in the year. And
you're talking about your closing goal, or you're talking about
everything? My conversation goal, my
conversation goal went down.
My closing goal, I kept raising it. It's like, well, I'm going to pass this pretty quickly. So it started out probably 48 or something, and
kept going up and up.
Yeah, and it took less and less to do it, just by the simple actions. I've always been shocked when I see people that are like, they're just always busy, and like, you don't have to be, if you do it right and trust people, on your team to help you out. And
absolutely. I want to say that, again, let me know, or let Scott know, if you want more information on how he was able to do that, because he mentioned he increased his goal throughout the year, but the leading measures, or like the amount of conversation he had to have and appointment set and all that stuff, actually went down. Okay. Again, we didn't really do much tactical today. But if you want a part two, reach out to us and let us know. We'll do a part two and we'll go more in detail about the tactical side on how to do that, skill building, which actions to take every single day. Besides the playbook we're going to give you, we can give you more context and all that stuff. But yeah, that's a great point, Scott. So what would you say for 2023? Because this is where we're at today, 2023. What would you say for you if, and by the way, being, he could tell you this, like, I don't know if Scott has the same goals this year that he did last year as far as amount of closings. He could tell you that, but if you were starting, let's say 2023, you have the goal to help 52 families again. What is for you, not for them, but for you right now, Scott, who you are today, what is the one thing you believe you would need to improve on to do so?
Asking even deeper questions,
Okay.
Our focus has been go deep, not wide. I was trying to help too many people at once, and I didn't have the brain power to do that. I didn't have the hours in the day to do that. Being able to, because I had a great, well, all my years have been good, but to have such a great year last year, I love being able to give business away to people so that I can focus on this handful of people that I know if I can hit these people, it's going to turn into multiple transactions. This person is a seller and a buyer, and they've got a sister who's thinking, if I can go deeper with those, I don't have to make as many calls out. I don't have to speak to as many people because these people are doing multiple transactions now. So if I can go deeper with these people and be able to give away business, like I'm sure I could get them closed in a year, or I'm sure this person, but I can't focus on this little handful of people. And that's what's going to make a difference for me this year. Yeah,
that's key. And Scott has plans to also continue to contribute to our organization in other ways. So all right, well, here is the playbook. Are you guys ready for the playbook? Okay, I got to share my screen now, so give me a second. Okay, I hope you all can see that. Yeah. All right, let me move this out the way. Okay, so the playbook to 52 closings. Here is your way to get it. Okay, now if you're watching this on a replay, then you'll still be able to get access to it again. Just scan the barcode. This is going to be the playbook to 52 closings. This is only exclusive to you guys who showed up or registered. Okay, so the people that weren't able to catch it live, you can still get this. Just scan the barcode and it's going to give you the playbook. I think it's like about 8 different steps that's going to ensure you get 52 closings in a year. Okay, now what I want you guys to do after you guys get it, if you guys would be kind enough to do so, let me and Scott know how it's working for you throughout the year. Reach out to us. It can even be in the high value agent group. If you're not in there, make sure you get in there because we drop great stuff every single day. But in the group, you can let us know how it's going for you, or you can message Facebook or Scott on Facebook, Scott Fultz on Facebook. Let them know, and I can give them at the very end. Scott can give you his contact information, and then let me know as well. So here's a special offer. Make sure you get that downloaded. Another thing is, can I move? There we go. If you want to learn more about what a partnership would look like with me and Scott, maybe you want to learn more, maybe you want to have mentorship, maybe you're interested in even joining our organization, okay? Maybe you're interested in joining our brokerage, Real Broker, okay? Please reach out to us. We'll be happy to have a conversation with you. Let's have a conversation. Discovery call. All we ask is for 15 minutes. Here's a barcode, scan it, and it will take you to our Calendly link, and you can set up a call with us, okay? Again, we're leading with contributions, so that's what we want to continue to do. Even if nothing comes out of it, if we can give you 15 minutes of information, answer your questions, it's worth it to us, okay? Absolutely. Another thing too, join our Facebook community. Join our community. The High Value Agent on Facebook. Again, it's just completely free, informational, educational content to help you grow your business. Listen, if you thought this was good, we're dropping great information every single day. In that group, we're almost up to 100 people. So that's pretty cool. A lot of people are locally. We even have great agents, like big time agents all across the country that is joining our community, the high value agent. Scott's in there, right? So again, make sure you join the community, scan the barcode, and we'll see you in there. And again, let us know how the playbook is working for you. Okay, let us know. All right, Scott. Real quick, man, let everybody know how can they reach you.
Right. So my phone number, my direct number is 765-201-7958. That will come to me. I'll be able to help you out. On Facebook, it's just my name, Scott Fultz. But yeah, that's the easiest way.
Yeah, Scott. And he's active on Facebook. By the way, Scott puts up good stuff too, a lot when it comes to his wins and things. He's trying to help inspire the community. That, Scott, did you have any sales experience before real estate?
No.
You don't have to have sales experience to do well in real estate. Have a good heart, have great work ethic, and be willing to learn. Have humility, be coachable, and you'll do great. He'll share on his personal page all the time, helped another family, doing this, doing that, his marketing strategies. He literally rip off and deploy it. Okay. So again, it's a great resource for you. Just find me on Facebook, the Calendly link that I share with you. You can reach out to me there for a 15-minute call. YouTube, we're everywhere. All right. That's it. I hope this was valuable. I know it was valuable. Not I hope, I know it was. And if you need anything at all, just reach out to us and we will let us know if you want a part 2. Are you down for part 2?
I love it. I love getting in the weeds on that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, sneak peek, or let me just do a little teaser. Something big is coming in May. Okay. Something big. There are a lot of information, a lot of content, a lot of things that we're doing here, and we're helping a lot of people all across the country. And I think, why not take this to the next level and possibly do something on a bigger scale? Okay, so stay tuned for those details coming out over the next month or so for something big coming in May. All right. Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, thank you, man.
Hey, man, listen, it's been a few years working together. I love working with you, brother.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, you guys, y'all take care. See you guys on the next one.